Yes, I made a big decision. I gave it all to Christ. I just had to get it right. He means so much to me. Now I know why he's testing me.
Welcome to the He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not podcast with Barbara Pettis, founder and CEO of Better Place Ministries. Barbara's passion for this cause is driven by her own personal experiences with domestic abuse in both her childhood and as an adult. She is committed to helping others achieve their goals of excellence and has devoted numerous hours to educate and empower individuals that are affected by domestic violence. Her enthusiasm for this cause is infectious, and it represents her personal zeal in life. And now, here's your host, Barbara Pettis.
Welcome to another episode of He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I did. And before we get started, today is my dad's birthday. So I want to shout out to my daddy. Happy birthday, 84 years young. And I love him past the stars. He is my everything. So happy birthday, Daddy. All right. So you guys know that this month we will be giving away a gift at the end of the month. But guess what you have to do? You have to share this podcast with at least 3 to 5 people. You have to share this podcast. And I'm checking the numbers, so I know who's sharing and who's not. So at the end of the month, we will give some lucky person a gift like we did last month. Your Tracy Satterwhite won the gift card last month. So it's legit, you guys. All right. So I want you guys again to visit my website, www.bpministries.org. Like us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, go to our YouTube page, Better Place Ministries. Subscribe to our YouTube page. We are also looking for donors and sponsors. So if you want to sponsor He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not podcast, go to the website, www.bpministries.org. Send me a message. I will definitely get in touch with you. We are definitely looking for sponsors. And then we're looking for donors. So if you want to help us help them, be a donor, a monthly donor. All the proceeds will go to helping a survivor, victim of domestic violence. All right. So I did a little work, some statistics last night. I wanted to find out what was going on. And I do have a guest in studio with me today, and I will be bringing her on shortly. We will hear another powerful story of survival of domestic violence. I wanted to do this because I wanted you guys to know that there is life after abuse. It doesn't always end in tragedy. There is life after abuse. There you can live, you can be successful, you can be productive, and you can be better and not bitter. And that's the title of the episode today, Better, Not Bitter. But I wanted to do some statistics, and you guys know that even with the rate of abuse that we have here in Texas, we are not at the top of the list. Can you believe that? We are not at the top of the list. Oklahoma is at the top of the list. 49.10% of women are being assaulted. Those are the stats for Oklahoma, 49.10%. Iowa is next, 45.30% of abuse. My goodness. Kentucky, 45.30%. North Carolina comes in next with 43.90%. Nevada, I'm not even surprised at Nevada, 43.80%. Alaska is coming in at 43.30%. Arizona, 42.60%. And I could go on and on and on. Now, I want to find Texas. Texas is on here. And we are, where are we? I think we're like 30. Texas is 34.50%. I was really shocked about that because I thought we would actually be higher than what the statistics showed me on last night. I thought we would even be higher with all the abuse that is going on. But fortunately, we are not. We are not. So I also wanted, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Insightful stats of domestic violence in the United States. 16.26% of women and 15% of men have experienced teen dating violence. Again, parents, I tell you, if you have a teenager who is dating and her behavior has changed in any kind of way, you need to start asking questions. You need to get involved because something could be going on. Teen dating violence is a thing. It is real. It has happened. I had the privilege of speaking at a middle school a few years ago, and you'll be surprised at the numbers of teen dating violence. Young adults, junior high, are experiencing violence in dating. Why? Because that's what they see at home. That's just what that is. As many as 81 million Americans have gotten their first taste of intimate partner abuse before turning 18. 18. So clearly, domestic violence starts early. It starts early. So I can't encourage you guys enough to check with your teenagers, check with your young folk, because it's happening. It's not just happening to people my age. As a matter of fact, and when I bring my guest on, she can confirm this. Matter of fact, it's the young people that are being abused and getting murdered and these type of things. It's the young folk. You very seldom hear about people my age, and I'm not telling y'all my age yet, but it's people, yes, younger folks that are going through this thing. And I can't express enough that it is real. We can do something. Hashtag stand for something. Stand up. What you do matters. You can be an anonymous caller to 911. If you hear your neighbor, if you hear some ruckus going on at your neighbor's house, because normally when abuse happens, it's loud. And if you hear something, dial 911. You could be saving a woman's life. You could be saving those children's life. You can do something. We can do something. And I encourage you to get involved. You don't have to go knock on the door and try to defend the woman. No. Dial 911. Do something. Take a stand. Help somebody else. We live in such a selfish society now. And the mindset is, well, it's not my business. Oh, yes, it is. It's very much so your business. You may not be going through it, but somebody in your family or someone you know is going through domestic violence. So it very much is your business. Get involved. Do something. I can't stress that enough. And I will say that every time you hear my voice, I'm going to tell you to get involved. Do something. So my guest today is the lovely Cassandra Wesley. She is the program manager of Genesis Women's Shelter. And I'm not going to go into, I want her to tell you about herself. I want her to tell you her story. We had a tearjerker last week. Oh my gosh. So I'm so afraid this is about to be another one. So you guys sit back and just be prepared to be blessed because she's here. She's a survivor. We are survivors, and we are strong survivors. We are advocates. We are out here fighting this battle, fighting this race to help other women, to let them know, hey, we came through it. Let us show you how to come through it. So Cassandra, thank you so much for being on today. I am so grateful to have you here. I want you to tell the listening audience about who you are. Tell them your story. And then after you tell them your story, then tell them, what you're doing right now.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and just share the word that there is life after domestic violence.
Yes.
And I am a survivor. And without telling my age, with my 3 small children at the time, they were 5, 7, and 10. Today, they are 39, 41, and 43. And I fled to Genesis Women's Shelter with my 3 small elementary age kids. And I left from what I would call a night of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was a night of the kids hiding in the bedroom. And I remember my 7-year-old peeping out the door as I'm being drugged down the hallway. Because my ex-husband at the time was torturing me all day verbally. And I yelled out, "I hate you." And because of that, that was just cause for him to drag me through the house all night. I got tormented all night. And knowing I had to go to work the next day. And so he decided to allow me to go to work. And that's when he had turned into Mr. Nice Guy. Remember, all night long, it was Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So when he allowed me to take the car and go to work with the kids in the back seat, I'm going to drop them off at school and go to work. And he's waving at me, like we just had this wonderful night. And I never forget it. I can see it right now. Even though it was back in the 80s, I can still see it right now. Him waving at me in the window and me thinking to myself, you will never see me again. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to do, because this was not the first time I tried to leave him.
Yeah.
I tried to leave him once before, and he stalked my job. I'm going out the back door, the whole nine. And so I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do, but you're not going to see me. I got the car and I got the kids. I got the clothes that's on my back. And so I went to work, and I worked out in, somewhere out in far North Dallas at a library. Mm-hmm. And I was just distraught the whole time, crying. And so the librarian, she came and she asked me, was I okay? And I told her no, what was going on. And she called Genesis, because she knew about Genesis. And Genesis had not been up. Genesis been in existence for 35 years. It's been 30 years for me. Mm-hmm. So Genesis was founded in 1985. I came to Genesis in 88.
Okay.
So it was brand new. And I was able to, and I knew because he was in the state of, I'm sorry, I love you. Right. I knew he was going to do everything. He was going to go up to the elementary school and, walk the kids home from school, something that he would never do because he didn't have time. But I knew he was going to do that. So I was able to leave my job, went to the school, picked up my kids, and went to the shelter. Now, I did call him to let him know. And soon as I called him, he was like, and I called him from a payphone. And, we didn't have caller ID back then. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, my God, I went up to the school and the kids are not there and I don't know what's going on. And I said, I have them. Well, what's going on? I said, I'm not coming back. Mm-hmm. Click. Mm-hmm. And I did not look back.
Yes.
And I went through, I went through the program at Genesis, moved out, worked 2 jobs, took my kids to work with me on the weekend. I was cleaning up buildings. I didn't care.
Right.
I was going to take care of me and my kids by myself. And that's what I did. I got a protective order against him. The year to the date that my protective order expired, he broke into my apartment.
Wow.
And broke my jaw with one hit.
Wow.
And I tell this story when I go to, police academies. Mm-hmm. And it's prevalent today.
Yes.
Because the police were called because I knew, by then I was working at Genesis. Let me back up. By then I was working at Genesis part-time.
Okay.
So I knew what to do. Mm-hmm. And called the police. They showed up. Of course, he was gone.
Right.
But they were looking in my bathroom. They were looking under the cabinet. They were looking in the laundry basket. They were pulling stuff out the cabinet. What are you looking for? Mind you, my jaw is broke on both sides. One hit broke both sides of my jaw. And my face is hanging and I'm bleeding. They did not call for an ambulance. And yeah, they didn't call for an ambulance. Mind you, this is Oak Cliff.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
They didn't call an ambulance. They didn't make a report. They left.
I'm not understanding why they were looking in your...
No one to this day can explain to me. But see, that's another reason why our community do not call the police.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I've experienced that.
Yeah.
And they left. So I called the shelter. Co-worker came, took me to the hospital, took me to Parkland. I woke up from emergency surgery with Jan Langbein and looked like half of the domestic violence unit standing, detective standing at my bed. And you talking about furious that there was no report made.
Right.
That they didn't assist me in any kind of way.
Right.
But I knew because of the support I had, I knew that he was not going to get away with this.
Okay.
I was going to make sure. And I had the support to back me up.
Okay.
See, that's the key. You got to have that support.
Absolutely.
So as I'm coming out of it, like I said, I have Jan Langbein standing at my bed. I got the DB detective standing at my bed, and Jan is giving them all the information.
Mm-hmm.
They went on his job and got him.
I love it. I love it.
They went on his job and got him.
Now, for people that don't know who Jan is, tell them who she is.
Jan Langbein is the CEO of Genesis Women's
Yes.
Shelter and Support.
Yes.
And Jan has been there for 35 years, I want to say.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was a client of Genesis before Jan came.
Okay.
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 So Jan came as I began to work there.
Got you.
Okay. And so I would tell people that, I don't know if you know what Jan looks like. She has white hair, flaming white hair, red lipstick and heels.
Yes.
And you can hear her coming down the hallway.
Right,
And, you know,
right.
and that finger is up in the air and we going to get him right now. And so then here's my second protective order.
Okay.
Filed charges on him for breaking my jaw. I was wired shut for almost a year. And he got, because he had never been arrested before, he got 45 days work release.
Are you serious?
That's all he got.
But you know what? The laws even now are not enough. You know, I'm remembering a case, and I'm going to let you get back to your story, but I'm remembering a case where a young man had beat up this girl, his girlfriend. He got arrested. They let him out of jail, and then he went and killed her. The laws are not strong enough.
Well, it wasn't until the 80s, the early 80s, that it was considered a crime. Because, see, you think back in the day, it was civil. If the police came to your house because your husband or your partner was hitting you, that was a civil matter. It was not a criminal.
Right.
It only became criminal when Dallas got sued by two women who were victims of domestic violence.
Yes.
That's when the laws came in. Of course, they're not near as strong as they need to be.
Yes.
But they're better than they was when I was a victim. It's better now. So just think, you
Right.
know, you're looking at 1980s. You know, that
Right.
wasn't that long ago, if you think about it, that it was okay. You know, the rule of thumb, you know, comes into play.
Yeah.
If he can hit you long as it's not bigger than the size of his thumb. That's what that saying means.
Right.
Rule of thumb.
Right.
Because women were considered property the same as cattle.
Yeah.
And so when Dallas got sued, then they started looking into it. Okay, we need to start doing something. So I would go out and I would speak with Jan.
Okay.
And I would tell the cadets, because they still have to do it now, that was implemented in it, that the rookie class had to take a class on DV 101. So I will go in and speak about as being a victim and explain to them, how I felt
Yeah.
when they came and looked through the laundry basket and I'm bleeding,
Right.
But even though that was in 88 or whatever, it still happens today.
It happens.
That's why
today.
we're so fearful in our community. It's so much stigma in us calling the police
Right.
for assistance,
Right.
because you might get the police that'll come out there and really is gung-ho and want to help you, but then you might find that one that's going to look through that laundry basket to see what's going on in this house instead of looking at this woman has just been beaten.
Right.
Your
Right.
concentration and focus should be on her.
Right.
So I continue working at Genesis. Met my husband, who I'm married to now. We've been married for 27 years.
Wonderful.
And I worked my way up at Genesis. And then in 98, I left Genesis and moved to Las Vegas.
Okay.
And all my kids are still there. My grandkids were born in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And so I took a break from domestic violence because I needed to clear my head. But I worked with the homeless population. So that lasted for about a year. And then I got back into domestic violence.
Okay.
And so I ran a shelter in Henderson, Nevada called Safe House. I was the shelter director for 13 years.
Okay.
So I worked my way up in there. I was a legal advocate. My Safe House was the only shelter that would allow. I worked with the pandering unit because sex trafficking is so bad
Yes, it is.
in the state of Nevada for many reasons. And so I would allow the detectives, the police, to bring a victim to my shelter
Okay.
that they were getting ready to send her back to her home state.
Okay.
Now, if it was a massive case, I would allow the victim to stay in my shelter while they go through the whole process, the court trial, so she can be safe.
Got you. Okay.
Because pandering is something else. Now, in Clark County, which is Las Vegas, it's against the law. But if you go 30 miles north to Ely, it's brothels. It's legal.
Yeah.
If you go 30 miles south to Pahrump, it's legal. But in Clark County, it's illegal. But that does not stop
Right.
the pimps.
Right.
And because I learned so much working closely with the detectives, and I tell people, sex trafficking is just a hair different from domestic violence.
Right.
Because he is controlling.
Right.
She has fell in love with him. And that is her man.
Right.
The only difference is he's putting her out there on the street versus the typical, husband. He ain't going to put you out there.
Right.
That's the only difference. So when these victims would come into the shelter, they received the same support and services that the wife did.
Right.
Counseling for them and their kids, advocacy, support, because to me it's no different.
It's really not.
It's really not a different.
And you're saying something that's very important. Support. Support is key. It is key. My first abuser never spent a day in jail. Never spent a day in jail. And what people need to understand, they'll say, well, why don't you just leave? Just leave. If there is no support system, victims leave 10 times at most. But if they don't have that support system, where are they going to go?
And then you have to look at, and I tell people, you're so correct. I tell people, stop saying leave. Why don't she leave?
The question should be, why is he hitting her?
Why is he hitting her?
Yeah.
A woman is at her most dangerous of losing her life
when she
leaves. If she tells him, I'm leaving you, I'm never coming back, I'm taking the kids, do you honestly think he going to let her walk out that door?
Because it's about control.
If I can't have you, nobody else can have you.
Right.
And what they're going to do, they're going to give me 5 to 10, I'll be out in 6.
Doing it to somebody else.
If that.
Right.
You know. So I tell people, stop saying, why don't she just leave? Give her a plan. Give her a safety plan.
Yes.
I was talking to a victim today, and I was like, okay, no response is a response.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't let him know what you're doing.
Right. Right.
If he's belittling you, if he's talking trash to you, if he's calling you out of your name, you think about it in the back of your head what you're planning, but you never tell him.
Yes. Yes.
That is your saving grace, what you're planning, and you keep it in your brain. You never let on. You let him think everything is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He gonna come home to an empty house. But you never show them your card.
Right.
And that's why we safety plan. You know, you find a trusted friend so you can take a little bit over here and a little bit over there. See, I didn't have that. I left with what was on my back.
Okay.
And that was fine too, because I was able, with the support that I got, to get that and more.
Yes.
I got my sanity back.
Yes.
And that is so priceless.
Yes, it is.
You know.
Yes, it is.
So, but safety plan with someone.
Yes.
You know, hey,
but make sure that safety plan is with somebody that's not going to go back and tell him this is what she's getting ready to do.
And safety planning definitely is, and I hate to say this, but it should not be with somebody in your family.
It should not. It should not.
It should not be.
Yeah.
Because I never forget, and he knew my church that I belong to is 5 generations.
Okay.
And we would get into it about me wanting to go to church. He didn't want me to go to church. He didn't want me to go to church. And I never forget. And see, my family didn't know where I was.
Okay.
When I left.
And really, that's best.
And that's best to do.
Yes.
That is best to do. I felt like I was in a city, a new city within a city.
Yes.
And they didn't realize how close I was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they never knew where I was.
Yes.
You know, and I had to protect them and me.
Absolutely right.
So, and I would call my family payphone. Back then we had payphones.
Right.
Okay? And I remember my sister telling me, you know, he came to church today.
See.
And he didn't stay for the sermon because he realized
he was looking for you.
I wasn't showing up.
I
wasn't showing up.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and you have to limit where you're going and all the familiar places and that you all would go together or he would sort of kind of let you go and whatever. You can't do that right now.
Right.
You cannot do that right now.
Right.
And so I left, moved back to Texas about 4 years ago because of my husband's health. I needed help with him.
Okay.
And I started out at Austin Street working with the Sisterhood program, women who have experienced trauma.
Okay.
Whatever that trauma is.
Right.
Because everybody's trauma is different, but it's still trauma.
Yes, it is.
And now I'm back home at Genesis. I'm so excited to be back. And Genesis is opening a new Genesis Women's Support Outreach Center on Ledbetter and Lancaster.
Come on now.
5020 South Lancaster Road. And it is so much needed.
Yes, it is.
And we're hoping to open up by this fall. That's what we're looking for. And we're not there to make people feel, oh my God, here comes a DV shelter. No, we're here for support.
Right.
If she comes in and just needs to talk.
Right.
Sit down for a minute. Take a breather. Then that's the place to come.
Right.
Now, because on one side of it is going to be the Genesis Benefit Thrift Store, which our clients will shop there free, but they have to come see us first.
Yes.
Which is fine.
Yes.
So if he asks, why you keep going up there? I'm going to the thrift store.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm going to come back with a bag from the thrift store. Because, see, I want her to be safe.
Yes.
If I got to put a pair of socks in that bag.
Something.
Some shoes in that bag. So he'll know that, yes, she went to the thrift store.
Right.
But in reality, she came and saw me. Okay? Because, see, now we're working on a plan.
Right.
We're doing some things.
Right.
Okay? So I'm really glad about that thrift store because that's going to be our roost. You know? That's going to be our roost. And, because it's legitimate.
That's right. That's right. Because you could easily say, girl, put this blouse in that bag.
In that bag.
You know.
Yeah. If he wants to know why it took you so long, well, I was shopping and look, I even got a pair of pants for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can help her safely plan to get safe with her and her kids.
Yes.
So we're going to be offering advocacy.
Okay.
We're going to be offering counseling.
Okay.
We're going to be offering counseling for the kiddos. And Genesis has a legal team.
Yes.
So all of our services are free.
I love it. I love it.
You don't have to pay anything. I'm not going to even ask you for an ID.
I love it.
Okay? So if you need some help, you walk through that door. You don't have to worry about showing me an ID or a Social Security card because that's not what I'm looking for.
Right.
I want to make sure you and yours are safe and can get to a safe place.
Yes.
Along with being back at Genesis, I am also a DBAC commissioner for the city of DeSoto.
Yes.
District 6.
Yes.
So I'm excited about what we're doing over there in DeSoto, bringing awareness. We're getting ready to embark up on, we're doing a major resource fair in October in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but we're calling it Resource Me. That means we're going to get all the resources in the world to have there.
Yes.
So that and then we're going to have other stuff there too because we don't want, what if he comes with her? Let's have some other stuff there going on that'll kind of distract his attention.
Right.
While she's probably trying to slide that pamphlet or slide that number.
Right.
One of my biggest things that I want to do for Genesis Outreach, I want to get the little pull tags.
Okay.
I want to hit them restaurants.
Okay.
And put them in the women's bathroom.
Okay.
And so she can just grab that tab.
Yes.
Stick it in her shoe.
Yes.
Stick it up here.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
With just our number on it. Not a whole lot of stuff on it. Just GWS and the phone number. He'll never know what that is.
Right. Right. I love that.
So
let me ask you. So the organization in DeSoto, do you have to be a resident of DeSoto to be a part of that? You do.
You have
I need to
be
move to DeSoto.
I know. You need to be. Yeah. And you have to be a resident of DeSoto. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I kind of lucked out on that because I am a resident of DeSoto, but I still have my Nevada driver's license because COVID hit.
Yes.
And it's like, and then with this real ID, you have to, if your last name has changed any, you have to show a paper trail.
Right.
So I needed to get my first marriage license.
Okay.
But I needed the date. I don't remember the date.
Yeah.
Because I've been married to my husband for 27 years. That's my first marriage, okay? And that's my first and my last marriage. So it's like, okay, I think I got the year down. I don't know. But you do have to be a resident of DeSoto.
Okay. I need to. I live in Cedar Hill, so I need to meet with the big wigs, I guess, of Cedar Hill so we can get something going there as well. You was talking about, I remember one of my abusers, I was living in this apartment and I had my blinds open. And so I was going around, I was closing my blinds and I looked out in the parking lot and he was sitting, looking right at my apartment. And I thought, wow. And he's the one that fractured my nose. And I thought, okay, all right. Got you. I got you. So I moved. I let the office know what was happening and I moved and didn't, of course, he didn't know, So when he was just sitting looking at somebody else's apartment at that time, because I got out of there. But stalking is a problem, and I like the fact that you say safe houses. My grandparents' house was my safe house when I was going through what I was going through, and they really didn't know what was happening, but that was my safe house. That was my safe place. And so when I get my safe houses that I told you I want to acquire, one of them will be named after my grandmother. Her name was Gladys Pettis, and it will be Gladys House.
Nice.
And there will be
that has a nice ring to it.
It will be Gladys House, and then there will be a section called, my grandfather's name was Milton, and it will be Milton Hall. I want to honor them that way because when I was there, I felt like I was untouchable, and I could do whatever I set my mind to. And my aunt would tell me, you can do this, you can do this. There, I remember you were talking about slipping the papers or whatever for help. I remember I saw something on the news. It's been a while back. This young lady had gone to a restaurant, she and her abuser, and he had just finished abusing her, beating her. And the waitress came and brought them water, and she was somehow she was able to slip a note up under the menu. So when the waitress picked up the menu, it said, "I need help." And it actually showed the waitress going to the manager, showing him the note. They called the police, and they got him right then and there and got her away from him. So yeah, they need to be able to slip a note if it's nothing more than help me. So we'll know what's happening and know what to do, because that's what we're about. We want to help. We
Definitely,
want to help them.
and want them to feel that support. One of the things I also want to mention is that when you're in a intimate partner violence relationship, domestic violence, however you want to call it, however you want to phrase it, and you guys are in an apartment together, and both of you all are on the lease, or the apartment is in your name, and he refused to leave, and this and that, and you want to leave, you can break that lease.
Yes.
You can break that lease.
Yes.
And you can prove domestic violence.
Yes. Fill
Fill out paperwork. They cannot put that on your credit.
Yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I just helped a young lady with that. I kid you not. A couple of weeks ago, I just helped because she was like, "Well, I'm in this apartment. I don't know what." I told her the same thing. Go to your office. Let them know what's happening. They have to accommodate you. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah, you don't have to stay there.
Texas Council Family Violence you go on their website.org, and they have so much information. They have the paperwork that you need to fill out.
Yes.
Just everything that you need, to protect yourself, to protect your credit. So you won't be held liable for the apartment. What if he damages the apartment because he's in there, fighting you and they want to hold both of you all liable? No. Yeah. There's paperwork you can fill out. And another thing, what we're trying to get people to understand is self-defense is not domestic violence.
Right.
If you're coming at me and we want the police to understand this. We want the DAs to understand this, the detectives to understand this. If his hand is around my throat and he's strangling me, and the only way I can get him to let go is for me to rip his hands apart with my nails, that's not domestic violence.
Right.
That is self-defense.
Right. Or even if the closest thing is a knife.
That's
self-defense. But it's so crazy that, and I know you probably heard where this young lady was defending herself, and she ended up in jail. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
The young lady in Florida who shot off warning shots.
Yes.
I think they're still fighting to get her out.
They are. So it's
You know,
like, what do I do? Do I just stay here and let him beat me up and do nothing? Do I defend myself and end up in the one in handcuffs in jail?
And both of us going to jail.
Right. So it's these laws. Oh my gosh.
And that's why it's so prevalent for the police officers to receive training.
The proper training.
Training.
Yes.
Because when they come on a scene of a domestic violence call, what they're going to witness is him sitting on the curb being cool because he done got rid of all of his aggression.
Yes.
20 minutes before you got there. So he chilling. She's a nervous wreck.
Right.
She's hysterical.
Right.
She's upset. She's hurt. She's yelling. She's cursing.
Right.
But he the cool one. So what do? They take her to jail because she's out of control.
Because she looks like the aggressor.
She looks like the aggressor, not realizing what took place 20 minutes ago.
Right.
And so that's where the training comes in at how to adequately assess the scene when you walk in. Because if he too calm and collected and she's losing her mind, you need to be looking at him.
Yes, there's a reason.
He done a lot of damage before y'all got there.
Yes, and look at her body. I'm sure there's some blood, bruises, a black eye, something. I have a friend, Detective Mike Carroll out of Fort Worth. He trains police, and because that's what he did when he was he went to these domestic violence situations. So he trains the new cadets or the police in what needs to be done the proper way. And I'm so grateful for him. I'm going to have to get him on as well. But it has to be proper training. And you talk about our community. Another reason is that you don't know if you're going to make it out that thing alive, depending on the police that show up.
And then you're also looking at this day and time where we at in 2021, where Black men are being killed by the police.
Yeah.
So you look at it. So you look at in our community.
Right.
So she has to live in that community.
Right.
So she calls the police because he's beating her. They come, and for whatever reasons, he gets hurt or lose his life. Do you think she's safe in that community now?
Absolutely not.
Because they're going to look at her. Why did you call the man anyway? Back in the day, they called him the man.
Yes.
Why did you call the popo in the police or whatever? Look what you done.
Yes.
You know, you're the reason why he's dead.
Yes.
Not that he was beating her and she needed help.
Right.
And so a lot of our community, our young ladies, they won't call the police because the community is against them. The family members is against them. And we all knew when we were raised, whatever goes in this house stays in this house.
Yeah.
You do not take it outside of this house.
Yeah. And the thing is that she doesn't want him dead. She wants him off of her.
Correct. Correct.
So and so if something happens, not only is the community coming against her, his family is going to come against her.
And friends.
Right.
And then if you have kids together, then the kids are looking at you.
Yeah.
Well, Mommy, if you hadn't called the police, Daddy'll be still alive.
And nobody's
Well, if Daddy
concerned.
hadn't put his hands on Mommy,
yes,
the police would not have been called. So it's a lot that we in our community have to deal with, not just with him.
Right.
We got to deal with the whole neighborhood.
Right.
You know, they want to do a balloon release and they want to do all of this and this and that and stuff. And she's not safe now in the community.
Right. It's, instead of looking at what it's about accountability.
Correct.
So if you have, and then, the people who you hang out with. So if you have these homeboys, let's just say that, and they are not holding you accountable for what you're doing, man, that's not right. Because a lot of guys don't want to get involved, but you should get involved. You should get involved. If you are a man that respects women, that have not put your hands on a woman, and you have a friend that's doing that, then you have a responsibility to say something, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
I
definitely,
think.
definitely. If you see something and you know it's not right,
Yes.
you have the
Yes.
responsibility of being your brother's keeper.
Yes.
You need to check him and say, look, this is not right what you're
Yes.
doing. Now, Genesis has a program called Heroes.
Okay.
And these are men who is against domestic violence.
Okay.
And so they work with Genesis also. And also there's an organization in Atlanta, Georgia, I think it's men's.org. And it was started by John Lewis back in the day. And that is an organization of men who are against domestic violence, intimate partner violence. And they do trainings on other men, with other men all around the United States. They recently had a seminar this past June. And so I had brought it up to the male commissioners that's on my board. I want to send you all there next year for that training. Maybe that's something you can bring back here and start in our community.
Okay.
You know, I think that's the name of it, men.org, but I have the information back at my office. But, you know, it's so many groups out here that's really trying to work with our young people and to not only just with domestic violence, but just getting caught up in the gangs, the whole nine, the whole nine and stuff. And so, we just got to band together.
We do. And I'm looking at Facebook because there's some feedback going on. And Tracy, you are absolutely right. We have to keep an eye on our young men as well. The older men need to step up as mentors. Teach these young men how to be a man, how to respect a woman, how to truly love a woman. So there's a mentorship that needs to take place. And the same with the women. The women need to step up and teach women, young girls, their worth and their value. Show them what it is to be a woman and let them know you don't have to settle just because he's a dude, and he may be fine or look good. Looks fade. Fineness goes away.
And another thing is, along with this stats that you gave, 1 in 3 teenage girls are victims of dating violence.
Yes.
1 in 4 women our age. So they have more of a chance to be in a victim than we do.
Right.
You know? And you're so right, about talk to your daughter.
Yes.
Pay attention. You when you were growing up, you knew when something was off. And if your child is dating, you know when something all of a sudden now they're kind of changing a little bit.
Right.
Let's pay attention, and to the young men too, because it's not just the young women.
That's right.
That are doing it.
Right.
Genesis has a training called In Her Shoes. And so it is awesome too. One of them training, and you do it with a group of people, and each person pick a character. Okay, and so you have to read off, and then we have to decide. Okay, that something ain't right with that. Is she being abused? And so one of the scenarios was the girlfriend was emotionally and verbally abusive.
Okay.
And manipulated to the boyfriend. She was white, and he was African American.
Okay.
So the perspective on that is, what do he do? Because what she's doing is manipulating him. She's showing up at his place of business. She about to get him fired.
Yeah.
And is anybody going to believe him over her?
Right.
So then, the race card comes in. But it's a good training.
Yes.
And people want to, they get, when you start talking about race, you know what? That's life.
Exactly.
So you need to experience. So that training kind of has you to experience what each person is going through.
Right.
By you being that boy or you being that girl, and then the trainees get to say, okay, yeah, she's being manipulative.
Right.
She's trying to get him fired.
Right.
Her family has money. He don't. You know, and this is what we deal with. It's like, come on now, this is what we deal with.
It's reality.
Reality.
Yes.
In 2021.
Yes. Yes.
So if that training made you cringe, maybe you need to look at what's going on inside of you.
Exactly.
Because this is our reality.
Exactly. I did one of those trainings a few years back in her shoes, and it was awesome. We are coming up on our time. Man, time. That's one thing I don't like. Time gets away so fast when you're doing this. It just, man, I could just go on. But I want to give you some last words, some last thoughts before we close out.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited about the new Genesis Outreach Center and support that's going to be in my zip code, my formal area code, where I grew up at. So I'm really excited for the support to be down there. And don't be afraid to walk through the door. We're not there to judge you. We're not there to make you feel less than.
Right.
We're there to support you.
Right.
And encourage you. And if you don't want to leave, you don't want to leave.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you some tools. We're going to give you some tools, and we're going to do a safety plan for you, because only you know when it is your time. Can't nobody tell you. I can't tell you. I tell people, when your head and your heart is on the same level, that's when you're ready to go.
Absolutely.
But if your heart is telling you one thing and your mind is telling you another, you're not ready.
Absolutely.
And that's okay, but we want to give you the tools to stay safe.
Yes. Yes.
To stay safe.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Cassandra, thank you so much. Listen, you guys, if you are in danger or you know someone that is in danger, domestic violence, intimate partner violence, whatever you want to call it, we have some numbers for you. I give these numbers out every week. The National Domestic Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Love is Respect, 1-866-331-9474. The Family Place, 214-941-1991. Genesis Women's Shelter, 214-946-4357. One Safe Place of Tarrant County, 817-916-4323. Safe Haven of Tarrant County, 877-501-7233. These organizations are set up to help you, to give you the support you need, to help you with a safety plan, to put you in a better position. Don't be afraid to call. Don't be afraid to seek help. Don't think about, I'm embarrassed. We're here to help. And we want to get you and your children somewhere safe. Call one of the numbers. If you or someone you know is in a domestic violence, intimate partner violence situation, call one of the numbers. Reach out. We're here to help you. My goal is that because of this show, someone's life will be changed, a victim's life will be changed, an abuser's life will be changed. Thank you so much for joining us. If no one has told you today, I love you. Be blessed.
I just came to testify today to let you know that no matter where you are and no matter where you've been, that God can change you because He changed me. This is my testimony. There's been a change in me, a wonderful change. Change in me, a marvelous change in me. Listen, I'm not perfect, I've made mistakes, many regrets from some very dark days. But when I open